In this video, we will learn about AWS Lambda and we will also create a Lambda function and see how it works. So before we start, what is AWS Lambda? Let's see what is serverless compute. So this is a cloud computing execution model in which AWS Cloud acts as a server and it dynamically manages the allocation of machine resources. And AWS Lambda is the AWS serverless compute platform where you can just run your code without provisioning or managing any servers. So with AWS Lambda, you can run code for almost any type of applications and with zero administration. You do not need to do any kind of administration. And you just have to upload your code and AWS Lambda will perform all the tasks and it is also scale your code with high availability. AWS Lambda is sometimes referred to as a function as a service also because AWS Lambda is like you are creating a function. When AWS Lambda executes your code or your function, then it does not spun any EC2 instances on your infrastructure. So you will not build for any EC2 instances which are running on your AWS account. So what are the benefits of Lambda functions over EC2 instances? Like you can also create a function and run it on EC2 instances, right? So what are the benefits of using Lambda functions? So first, you don't need to do any server managements and it automatically scale your applications. Like if there is lot of triggers happening, then it will automatically scales. And when you run Amazon EC2 instances, you are responsible for the cost which are associated with the instance runtime. It doesn't matter even your site is running or not, or if your site has just receiving little or no traffic. If server is running, there is a cost. But with AWS Lambda, you have created a function, but if it is not getting triggered, like it is not being used so much, then there is no charges for that. So so that these are all the benefits of Lambda functions over EC2 instances. You will pay only when your function is called, otherwise there is no charges. So how now we'll see how AWS Lambda works. So AWS Lambda uses a containerization because at the end it is serverless from your side. Like you don't see any servers is running, but internally at the backend side somehow something is running, right? So what it uses containerizations to run your code. Whenever your function is triggered, it creates a container that will execute your code and return your application as a result. So how that works? So that is what we call cold start, like whenever the container is created on the first invocation. So in this example, you can see that there is some event, it invokes a Lambda function, and then if it is creating first time, that we call as a cold start, like there is nothing which is already running. So it will go here and it will create, it will do all those things, whatever the function is doing, it will do this, right? Once the container starts to run, it remains active for several minutes before it terminates, right? So in that case, if second event happens within that particular time, then it will not go to the new function like the cold container. It will try to use the container which is already running, and that we called as a warm container. So here you can see AWS Lambda does not simply provision containers one at a time to exactly meet demand. Based on the uses, AWS Lambda may create multiple containers also at once to help increase the chance that a future event will be processed by the already running function containers. So these are things like the cold start and the warm containers. So there are a lot of languages that AWS supports, like you can use any of these languages to create your function. So let me go there and show you how it shows like this. So you create a function and here you can see it provides you four options like author from scratch. You can use some blueprint, container image, and this is a serverless app repositories. You can provide your name and these are the languages that it supported. Okay. So here you can see all the languages which a Lambda function supports. So Okay. Now the execution model, like when you create a lambda function, then how it can execute it. So for that there is two things. One is non-streaming event source that we called as a push model. So these are some services like Amazon Echo S3. So how that works, like S3 will call, something happens on S3 bucket and it will trigger your lambda function. So that is called the push model. It is pushing that lambda function to get triggered. And the second is streaming event source, that is the pull model, like Amazon Kinesis or Amazon DynamoDB. So in this, lambda function will pull something from Amazon Kinesis and trigger something. So these are two types of models that that's how you can call AWS lambda. You can execute an AWS lambda function synchronously or asynchronously also. And there is a parameter called invocation type parameters that determines when to invoke an AWS lambda function. So there are three values like request response, execute synchronously, event, execute asynchronously, and dry run. You can just run it to see how it is working and all. So just wanted to show you how that push model flow works. So here you can see that there is a user, and this is an Amazon S3 bucket, and here is a source bucket. So user will put something in the source bucket, and Amazon S3 detects that object created event, like something happened here, and then Amazon S3 invokes your AWS lambda functions. Right here you can see it will invoke the AWS lambda functions. All the execution, all the permission should be there so that it can successfully get executed. And then it will just push that data whatever you have written in your function. So in this case it will just return, it will do something and then push that object in the target object. So this is what a push model is. Okay, now we will talk about the pull model. So in pull model, what happens? AWS Lambda pulls the stream and invoke the function upon detection of a new record on the stream. So Amazon Kinesis uses the pull model. So here you can see there is a custom app. It is putting some data in the Amazon Kinesis stream, and AWS Lambda is pulling that data and accordingly doing whatever is present, whatever has written in the AWS Lambda function. So this is how the pull model works. And final way to how you can invoke an AWS Lambda function is using the request response invocation type. Using this, AWS executes the function synchronously. That means response immediately to the calling application and alerts you whenever the invocation occurs. So these are the two things, like the push model and the pull model, how you can call your lambda, how the lambda function will get triggered. Okay. So now there is a security in lambda functions. We have already seen in this also, yeah, execution roles and the access policy. So what all those? Let's see. So there are two types of policies with lambda. There is a function policy and the execution policy. So function policy is which AWS resources are allowed to invoke your function. So that is what you define it here. So let me show you. So if I go to this test, so here you can see in this, right now I have not defined any policy, but this is where you defined resource based policy is called the function policy, which allows, okay, this S3 bucket can trigger this lambda function. So function policy, which AWS resources are allowed to invoke that particular lambda functions. You do that configuration. An execution role defines which AWS resources your function can access. Like, because you have created a lambda function, so obviously it is using any of the AWS resources, right? So we need to define the permissions. Okay, this lambda function can create this EC2 instance, or whatever it wants to, it has to do, you have to define that permission. So for that, here you can see that there is an execution role. For now it has created a default. So if I open this role, so you can see that basic execution role, when you say that automatically create a new role, so it will always put this basic execution role. And if I go to policy summary, so here you can see that basic lambda execution, so that it gives the permissions to create logs and put log events, right? So all those things, it's a basic lambda execution policy. Here I have mentioned also Lambda basic executions, grant permissions for the CloudWatch so that Lambda function can write logs. Kinesis execution role, DynamoDB. So there are a lot of other execution roles that you can use for that execution role. In AWS Lambda function component, so there are two things. One is function package. So package is like where your code contains everything. You need to be available locally when your function is executed. It contains all your code, also the dependencies that it's needed. So this is called the function package. And the second part is function handler. When the AWS Lambda function is invoked, whenever it's invoked, the code execution begins at the handler. And what is handler? Handler is a method inside your AWS Lambda functions that you create and include in your package. So let me show you. I have one function here. So you can see that this is my function, and here you can see definition lambda handler. So this is inside your function, and in this there is an event and context. So let's see what is event and context. So event includes all the data and the metadata that your AWS Lambda function needed. Like for Amazon API Gateway Service, it contains details of the HTTP request, like the path, query string, request body. Those are within the event object. Now the second is the context object. Context object contains data about the AWS Lambda function invocation itself. Like AWS request ID, so it has that details. So that is used whenever you need to contact AWS support. So it tracks a specific invocation of your AWS Lambda functions. Remaining times, like amount of time in milliseconds that remain before your function timeout occurs. So AWS Lambda functions can run a maximum of 300 seconds, like the 5 minutes, but you can configure it to a shorter timeout. And it is also recommended that you should use the time properly, because in case of errors, it will never get timeout till 5 minutes is finishes. So it will increase the cost. So if you know that your function should get completed in 30 seconds only, then it is good that you define that it should run only for 30 seconds. Logging, each language runtimes provides the ability to stream log statements to Amazon CloudWatch log. So this is what it is, like the context object and the event object. You can configure your AWS Lambda function also. So here you can see, once you have created the function, you have uh, you can do all the configuration settings, like you can add the environment variables if there is any, basic settings, the memory. So you can assign, like, because each function consume different types of memory, right, according to your function. So you can specify that also. So this is the minimum, like 128 default, and the maximum you can assign till 10240 MB. And like timeout that I have defined, like 0 minute 3 second, you can define timeout according to your function needs, right? And the execution role here. So these are some basic settings that you can configure in your Lambda function. You can provide the description, tags, everything. With the default network configurations, your Lambda functions communicates from inside an Amazon VPC that AWS Lambda manages. And AWS Lambda function can connect to the internet, but not to any privately deployed resources that runs within your own VPC, such as Amazon EC2 server. So that's, you need to default with your default configurations. Okay, so this is how that Lambda function works. Now we'll talk about the versioning. So what is versioning? So whenever you create a function, you see that there is some ARN is also assigned for your function. So you can create multiple versions of your functions, right? I mean, I can create as many versions I want. Here you can see publish new version, and you can provide a descriptions and it will get published. So that is how you can create a versions. After you publish a versions, it is immutable and you cannot change it. And after this, you can use this version number in your ARN also to refer that exact function. So what is this ARN is actually, whenever you need to use this function anywhere in your application or wherever you use this ARN. And when there is a version, so there is a version, so this test is a version actually. So I'll show you. Here you can see that I have created, so right now it's all latest. I have not created any versions. So yeah, so this is what is version is. Now what is the problem with the versions? You can create as many versions, like whenever you upload a new code, you can create a new versions. Your function is on version 1, right? And you updated ARN in your applications to refer to that version, right? Now when you do the update, then you need to update that ARN at all places to reflect this new function, right? I mean, I've created version 2, so I need to update that in my all the applications wherever I am referring this AWS Lambda function. So to fix this issue, we can create an alias. So how alias will help you? You can assign an alias to a particular version and you can use that alias in the application. Okay. So like version 1, assign alias of name production to this version, and then you have updated the ARN to use this alias production instead of the version number. So now wherever you are referring this function, you are using this alias, right? Now for the next versions, you can make the changes without affecting your production environments. How you can do that? You'll create a new version like version 2 and do some testing, right? At that time, if version update in production, you just reassign the alias to the new version number. So now what will you do? You'll do all the testing. Then that alias which you have created, you just point that alias to the new version, that is version 2. So in that case, you don't need to update any ARN reference in your application. So that is the concept of versioning and alias in Lambda functions. Now we'll talk about the monitoring. So here you can see that it monitors a lot of things like invocations, durations, all those things it monitors for your Lambda functions. And they and this is some details. What is invocations? That measures number of times your function is invoked in response to an event. It includes successful and failed invocations, but it does not include throttled attempts. And this equals you will get billed also what how many times your function get invoked. There are some errors and the dead letter errors. Okay. Now we'll talk about the concurrency. So what is concurrency? So if I'll go here, so here you can see the concurrency, unreserved account concurrency. So this means your function concurrently yeah, can be executed 1000 times concurrently, right? So this is the default settings. You can change it. And here you can see that it is not throttled right now. My function is working, right? Because it is unreserved account concurrency. Now you can define or you can reserve the concurrency also. Like I want my function 5 times, or you can do all those settings. So if I do the 0, then you can say that your function is always throttled because you define that as 0. It means it cannot be run even once. So you will see that it's always throttled. And if I do 1, then it should be good. So this is what the concurrency means. Like how many times you want your function to run concurrently. So default is 1000, but you can change and reserve your concurrency for the specific functions. Okay. And now the next thing, the last thing is the dead letter and the asynchronous configuration. What does that mean? So here you can see that maximum age of event 6 hours and retry attempts 2. and that is the dead letter queue service. You can configure it. By default it is not configured, but you can configure it. So this is what it means. Like when you invoke your function asynchronously, AWS Lambda function handles retries, right? If it fails, it will retry. So in this case, it will retry 2 times. So incoming events are placed in a queue before being sent to the function. If the function returns an error, then Lambda functions will retry up to 2 times. Or if the function is throttled, okay, or the Lambda returns an error, then you can cap it in the queue for up to 6 hours. This is what we have defined it here, okay. You can change this default behavior, adjust the number of retry attempts according to your need, okay. Or when the event fails all attempts or stay in the asynchronous invocation queue for too long, then Lambda discards it, okay. For that also, you have an option to configure a dead letter queue service. So you can configure this dead letter so that it to send discarded events to an Amazon SQS queue or Amazon SNS topic, so that you can see what is happening or if there is any issue or anything like that. So you can configure like dead letter queue service also. So this is all about AWS Lambda functions. Thank you. Now we will run our demo of creating an AWS Lambda function, and what it does, it will convert a CSV file into a JSON file. So you can clone this repo if you do not have this code, and for the basic understanding of AWS Lambda, you can refer my previous blog or video. So what we will be doing in this demo, we are creating a bucket. So there is one source S3 buckets and the target S3 bucket. We will create a Lambda functions. That Lambda function is actually converting the code of CSV files to JSON. We will zip the files, upload that zip in source S3 buckets, and then we will create that Lambda functions, create an IAM roles, all the permissions, create a triggers and test it. So I have this code here, so let me show you. So these are my Python code for creating a S3 bucket. So you can put your name, and this is how you can create the bucket. So I have these two buckets already created, DevOps for Solution Source, and this is the target bucket. Okay. So we already did the 2 steps. Now we need to create a Lambda function. So here you can see that this is the Python code for creating a Lambda function. So here I have provided the my what is my target bucket, and this is the code of converting the files. So this is a very simple code. So yes, so now you have created this Lambda functions which you do the parsing, and then you can store it. So let me first zip this. So let me just run this code, or I already have this zip. So but yeah, you can just zip it if you need it, and then you can just copy this on your source bucket. So let me just run this command. Okay, so now you can see that it has uploaded it. So we have successfully uploaded the zip file. So we have uploaded our function in the S3 bucket. Now we need to create an IAM role which give access to the Lambda function, which with policy AWS Lambda execute. So I have created this pay processing Lambda role already, and this is where I have assigned this AWS Lambda execute policy, and this is what it is doing: action logs and S3 get objects, and this is what the permission is. Okay. So I have created the IAM roles. Now let's create this Lambda function. So you can create it using GUI also, like here, create functions, all those things. Or you can use the AWS CLI also. So AWS Lambda create functions where you can provide your function names, your runtime, like it's a Python. You need to define the role. Okay. So this is the role which we have created. Handler, lambda function dot lambda handler, this is the handler. You can provide the description, your timeout, memory code, and the code S3 buckets, from where it needs to take the code, right? So we have put the code in the S3 bucket, so it should be able to take it from there. and you can provide the tags also. So let me just run this command to create the lambda function. So this command will create a lambda function. Same steps you can do it from the GUI also. So it's the same thing. Here you can see that you provide the function name, you can provide the runtime and default execution role. You can use your existing role which I have created, right? You can do this in the advanced settings. You can define your mm, configurations and you create a function, and after you create the functions then you can configure it for the memory and all those configuration. So here you can see that it has created this, and you can see this output from your console also. So here you can see that it has created this function, and you can see that the function is there, okay, and all the settings. Okay, so now it's there. Now we need to add the permission. So what the permissions, like how S3 bucket will call this lambda function, right? So here you can see AWS lambda add permission, and this is the function name, lambda S3 permission invoke function, okay, because we need to invoke this. So here you can provide your source account and all those things. So let me just run this now. Okay, so meanwhile it is running, I want to show you here in the permissions. Right now there is an execution role. Execution role is so that AWS, which AWS resources lambda function needs access. Okay, so that is what the execution role means. And here you can see resource based policy. That means which AWS resources can trigger this lambda function. So that's what we have called right now. So let me just refresh it. Okay, so as soon as you run this command, add permission, so here you can see that it comes. So this is the resource based policy, and we call it as the function policy also. So this means that it is allowing your S3 bucket, this S3 bucket, to trigger this lambda function. So that is what this resource based policy means. Okay, now we need to add a trigger, like whenever an object is put in the S3 bucket, then um, then the function should be called. Okay, so you can run this. So this is also how you can do, and this is from where you can do, like in this configuration you can create a trigger. You can select a trigger, you can select this S3, right, bucket. Like I have this DevOps for solutions, all objects create events. You can do like this, and I acknowledge, and that's what. Okay, before that, before I do this, I wanted to show you in DevOps for Solutions source. If you go there, and there is an event notifications, so you can see that for this particular function, you can see that this event is there. So I need to delete that, because it's, if your function writes, ensure that you are using different S3 buckets for input and output. Yeah, that is also one thing. Otherwise recursive invocation can happen. Okay, so this is how you can create a triggers. Let me click on add. So here you can see that I get this error. So what does that mean? Configuration on the same bucket cannot share a common event type. Why this happens? Because I already have this event here, so I need to delete this. Okay, now let me just add it. Okay, so now you can see that it's added now, and if I go there and refresh my S3 bucket, and if I go to event notification, you can see what does that mean. Whenever something happens on on this S3 bucket, it will trigger this destination, and as soon as it trigger the function, what it will do, it will convert the file and put it in the target bucket. So let's do this. I mean, whatever you have configured in your function, it will work accordingly. Okay, so now let's just test it. So I have this file, let me just put it in the source file, I mean source bucket. Okay, so I have uploaded this file, and now I'll refresh it. And you can see in the target it is created in the JSON file, because that's what my Lambda function is. In the source I have CSV file, and in the target it has created the JSON file. So this is what this Lambda function actually does. So you need to be very careful about the IAM roles, like the execution role and the function policy. And you need to define the triggers, like which will trigger your Lambda function. So all those things here. Thank you.